Hello. Hello. Okay. So in the last lecture, we had seen that what is the meaning of object-oriented programming. Okay. So in that we had seen that what is the class and what is the objects. Then apart from that, how to define the objects, how to make the declarations, how to consider the declarations of functions, how to define those functions and how to use those functions. So that basic things regarding the object-oriented programming in C++, we have already seen. Now we will see the major characteristics of the object-oriented programming, which are universal characteristics in every programming language, every object-oriented programming language. But before that, can we able to know that, or can we say that the C++ is pure object-oriented programming language? No, C++ is not pure object-oriented programming language. Why? Because the C++ is accessed through main function. So therefore, and as per the rule of object-oriented programming, everything should be accessed through objects only, and the main function is accessed directly. And apart from that, the friend function, if a particular function is a friend function, then at that time that could be accessed directly without creation of object. Then the third reason is a virtual function. In case of virtual functions, we are not using, in case of virtual functions, we are, in case of virtual functions, we are not using the objects. Instead of that, we are creating the pointers, and through those pointers, we are trying to access the content. So that we have to see in the case of the inheritance. Whenever we are seeing the diamond problem, then at that time I will clear you the concepts regarding the virtual the concept of virtual functions. Okay, so basically now we will see, consider now in the today's session we will be considered the characteristics of object-oriented programming. Four major characteristics of object-oriented programming is encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, and data abstractions. If you are considering the encapsulation, encapsulation is nothing but it is a wrapping of data and function together into a single unit. It means that the availability of values which are written into the variable to a particular function is called as encapsulation. Okay, so whatever the value is available written within that data member, so those values and that data member should be available, or make availability of those to that particular function is called as encapsulation. We will see this in depth. Then the next one is a polymorphism. Poly means multiple, morph means form actually. Okay, so it means that the multiple form of the same thing. For example, if you are using a particular single function, let us say add. So add name I can able to use multiple times. Okay, the same name with different argument, same name with same number of argument but with different type is called as polymorphism. Polymorphism is also having the two types, that is a static polymorphism and dynamic polymorphism. That also we need to see. If you are considering the static polymorphism, then function overloading, function overriding is the concept. In case of dynamic polymorphism, we have to see the operator overloading. Okay, so these are nothing but some of the concepts of polymorphism. And the next concept is the inheritance. It is nothing but it is the inheriting the functions and properties from base class into the derived class. Okay, it means that if you want to access a particular function multiple times, then at that time we are seeking towards, means the particular function which is defined within the base class, and if you want to access those from the derived class, then at that time we have to go for the inheritance. Data abstraction. Data abstraction is nothing but abstracting the internal details from the end user. For example, if you are considering the operating system is having a multiple process which are running at the back end. At that time, the complete internal detail is hidden from the end user. That is called as information hiding. And if we consider the data abstraction, then at that time, only some part of a particular program or some part of a particular process is hidden from the end users. That is nothing but just consider we have considered the example of private. Private, it means that the content are accessed only within that class. Content are permitted to get access for the class members only. So that is nothing but the example of data abstraction. Now we will see each of them in depth. Okay. So what is the encapsulation? Encapsulation, I have already told you that it is nothing but a wrapping of data and function together into a single unit. Okay. So if you had seen this diagram, then at that time, basically the variable A and B, so these are the two variables which we have defined. Let us say that 2 bytes, if a 32-bit system is used, that is nothing but the integer value, and 4 bytes is 64-bit systems. Okay. Okay. So these two variables we are considering, variable A and B. Okay. So, and then after that, one function that is nothing but the add functions, which is having the two variables. So make availability of these variables to this particular function for the further operations is called as encapsulation. Okay. So दोनों को साथ में लपेटना. Wrapping, it means that it is nothing but the binding. Okay. So availability, make availability of those variables and the values within those variables with this particular function. Okay. It is a procedure of mapping variable declared within or outside the class to function. Okay. The procedure of mapping variable declared within or outside the class to the function. Okay. It means that class के बाहर के variables and the content of the class make availability of those variables to the functions is called as encapsulation. Okay, so I think this much is sufficient as far as this session is concerned. In the next session, we will consider the example of inheritance. Okay, so we'll stop